What's up guys, Disclosure Artist here, and today I was going to discuss with you guys how UFOs work, specifically the extraterrestrial crafts that we have. I'm going to be citing my sources. This is coming from a lecture that Bob Lazar, nuclear physicist who worked at S4 facility, had direct experience with these technologies. And he actually produced his own documentary in the 80s, so I'm going to be converting that to layman's for you right now. It was in 1989, as a matter of fact. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background, a little frame of reference, so some of this technology makes sense. For example, when we're traveling faster than the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second, this is approximately 669 million miles per hour. The closest star system to us is Proxima Centauri. This is 4 years to reach at the speed of light travel. So there's a lot of things to consider why that's just not logical to use that method of transportation. You run into issues regarding propulsion, fuel capacity, navigation, time dilation, lane contraction, your mass increases, your the shortest distance basically between 2 points, conventionally thought of in physics, was a straight line. However, this is not true. Space-time can actually be bent and warped by virtue of generating a high-intensity gravitational wave. And the best way to understand this is to conceptualize that there are two types of gravity waves. There's gravity B, which acts on a macro level, as in it holds planets in orbit, for example. And then there's a gravity A wave, which works on a micro scale, and this is what is responsible for holding our cells together. So B is a stellar type of gravity, A is an atomic gravity. B is weak. It can be broken, momentarily just by jumping in the air, for example. A wave is strong, however, and it's located at the nucleus of every atom of matter on Earth. So there's no naturally occurring element on Earth that can access or amplify a gravity A wave. So an oscilloscope is used to amplify gravity A waves, but this is contingent on an electromagnetic energy being present during the creation of the wave. And the only thing naturally occurring that holds the required energy to bend space-time is a black hole. So that brings us to, how do we generate a gravity wave? Basically, it has to use an element heavy enough that its gravity A wave extends past the perimeter of the atom, and that way it can access and amplify for space-time distortion. So what is the power source? So the periodic table of elements, the heavier an element is, the more unstable it is, which means the faster the half-life and the quicker the radioactive decay. The release of the subatomic particles and the radioactive energy is released. So what we have is element 115, or ununpentium as it was known then. In 1989, it was not synthesizable. However, in 2003, it was first done, and you can check the periodic table of elements. It's now actually called moscovium. But at the time, nobody believed it was real, but it's real now. So what it is it's a reactor, and it uses element 115 as its fuel source. And when it's there, it's bombarded by protons and a small particle accelerator. Pretty much what we have at CERN and HARP and what we've got going on at the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, except a miniature version. And when a proton plugs into the nucleus of an atom of 115, it increases its atomic number and becomes element 116, which decays instantly in the fraction of a second And what 116 radiates is antimatter as it decays. So that's what you have here. As you take a triangle of it, this is what it is right here. You put it in the reactor and it's bombarded by this process here. Once it meets the target gas, you now have a fuel source. So what is antimatter? It's the exact opposite of matter. It has the opposite charge and spin of matter. So when combined with any matter in our universe, antimatter converts to 100% energy. So just to give you an idea, the rapid conversion of matter to energy we call an explosion. An example of this type of power we're talking about. Dr. Edward Teller was the father of the hydrogen bomb. For example, a nuclear bomb dropped on Nagasaki would equal 2 miles of devastation due to a fission reaction. A hydrogen bomb would basically have 20 miles of devastation due to a nuclear fusion reaction, but still this is less than 1% energy conversion. So here's again an idea. If you were to take the same nuclear material found in a bomb that was dropped in Nagasaki and filled it with antimatter, it would be an uncalculable amount of damage. It would be total annihilation reaction, essentially. So this is how they're able to create that much power for what they need. The way the craft works is the antimatter is released into a vacuum, into a tuned tube, which isolates it and keeps it from interacting with matter that surrounds it. It is then directed towards a gaseous matter target at the end of the tube, like I indicated right here. And at that point, matter and antimatter collide and annihilate into a 100% energy efficient conversion. The heat converts to thermoelectric generated energy. So just 223 grams of 115 could be utilized for 20 to 30 years. And here we are using fossil fuels. Never mind thorium. We have so many different things we could use. I digress. The melting point of 115 is 1,740 degrees Celsius. During his time in the projects, I'm just going to give you a little background on it. He actually witnessed 9 different disks at the S4 facility, 16 feet high, 40 feet wide in diameter. Stainless steel in appearance, and it sat on its belly when it was not energized. This is a pretty good to scale model of it. You can see the inside of it right here, the different compartments. And the interior was divided into 3 layers. The first level housed 3 gravity amplifiers right here. The second level had the reactor and had seats which were too small for adult humans. The second level divided into archways as well. One time the craft was fired up and the archways became transparent and you could see the outside of the craft. And apparently there was writing that appeared on the walls. And when the craft flies near other sources of gravity, such as a planet body, it does not use gravity A wave previously described. Rather, it phase shifts to gravity B wave. The gravity A generated after from the disk, outward from the disk, and gravity B comes from the Earth, and it generates lift. So the amplifiers can be pulsed, which means all 3 in operation. This is called delta configuration, and it's used for navigating the planet. And then you have, so the amplifiers can be pulsed, all 3 in operation. This is delta configuration. When one used for travel, it's called Omicron configuration. And you can see right here when it's got all of the amplifiers running at the same time, it's completely invisible, essentially. as it's generating a heart-shaped distortion around the craft. This is all, what he was able to come across during his time at Project Galileo, which dealt with gravity propulsion. And basically they were all housed in a sand texture coated mountainside hangar where the doors were angled at a 60-degree slope in the Papoose Dry Lake bed, about 15 miles south of Area 51. And when you walk in there, you see a 20,000-pound crane with 41 on the door. He also learned about Project Sidekick, which had been a weapon program, and then Project Looking Glass, which dealt with physics of seeing, gravity, and focusing in time. And ultimately, the technology curve from the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 star systems, this is where these crafts came from. They're 30 light years from Earth. Reticulum 4, as a matter of fact, being the star system. It's 90 Earth hours equals 1 day there. This is what we were able to learn from the entities. He actually had contact with one of them. They're 3 to 4 feet tall, 25 to 50 pounds, gray skin. They've been visiting Earth for the better part of 10,000 years, and they provided photographic evidence to back it up. Yeah. They altered the human brain, and they manipulated the creatures on Earth with drugs. Humans have been genetically modified, as a matter of fact, 65 times, and they actually refer to us as containers. Yeah, so that should give you a little clarity on some of the technology that has to do with what we're seeing in our skies. All right, guys, that's all for now. Take care.